right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this regular meeting of the City of Los Angeles Board of Public Works. I'm very good. Good morning, Dr. Campos.
Good morning, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Establishing roll call and quorum for today, we have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Villegas. President Good, you do have a quorum. At this time, we currently have one member from the general public that would like to provide general public comment. We also have three members from the general public that are here on item number 2. We have one caller from Dyne Electric on item number 4. In addition to that, we received 32 public comments through our website, one of them for general public comments, 26 of them for item number 2, one of them for item number 4, and 4 of them for item number 5. All those comments were distributed to all commissioners this morning, and you should have those in your emails for review. Mr. President, we also do not have any public comments. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section.
How many did you say we have in general public comment, Fernando?
Live with us, joining us, one person.
Okay. So why don't we go ahead and take general public comment, and then we'll jump into the agenda.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. Caller ending in 631. Caller ending in 631. The Board of Public Works is now considering general public comments. You have 2 minutes to speak on this item. You can do so by pressing *6. Thank you, Joanne. I think you know the process. Please go ahead.
Antonio, CFAC. You, the Board of Public Works Commissioners who seem to care about trees, may be our only hope to hold back the oncoming stampede of tree removals. There's a horde of new projects heading toward us with a cumulatively huge number of tree removals. We will be taking out whole woodlands of protected trees and unnecessarily destroying our street trees, often because trees are not being adequately considered by designers. The old premise that we'll just plant more to take their place has stopped working. Saplings take more water than mature trees and struggle in the heat. Open space is diminishing, which accounts for the decrease in birds, butterflies, and other wildlife that, according to the biodiversity report, is a necessity, not just nice ambience. Projects sail through City Council and the Planning Department, 420 employees strong, feels like it just exists to serve developers. A journalist writing a book on shade interviewed me last week, and I said the mayor envisions LA with density like Manhattan. Well, he said, I live in New York, and we have great tree policy here. He was right. Developers can't remove street trees the way they do here. They protect the trees during construction. The journalist observed that there is no will to save trees in Los Angeles. Trees are public works, or these hearings would not be held before your commission. These hearings must be moved to take place before projects are designed and approved. We need this now, or this city will not be fit to live in the future. I've been told that there are 300 projects waiting to start in CD14 alone, an environmental justice area where the community has awakened and is suing the city. We should be making a goal of 40% tree canopy by 2030. That is the current canopy cover in Beverly Hills. LA is at 19% now. In Santa Monica, because there was an intervention at the planning stage, a parking garage was designed to allow for space for tree roots to reach the ground. It can be done. I sense the will at this commission, and it exists at CFAC. Trees are not just decoration that we can switch out at whim. What can we do next? Thank you.
2 minutes. Thank you, Antonio.
Thanks, Ms. D'Antonio.
Thanks.
Mr. President, that clears the queue for general public comment. We can go ahead and close that section.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Let's quickly take the minutes from Friday, August 13, 2021. I'll motion to approve those minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any concerns, Davis or Garcia?
No concerns.
Okay. Hearing none, the minutes from Friday, August 13, 2021 are adopted and approved forthwith. All right, colleagues, I'm going to move item 6 to the top of the queue. My apologies, Ms. Sanchez de la Vega. We'll take item 6 first. There's a scheduling matter. So item 6 is an authority for expenditure, a Hyperion incident reimbursement to affected El Segundo residents for odor mitigation costs. Open order. Bureau of Sanitation and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $4 million, new adjusted amount of $4,519,990. Recall that we approved that, I think, 2 weeks ago. To increase encumbered funds to reimburse residents who were impacted by the July 11, 2021 incident at the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, in which large quantities of debris caused the backup of the headworks facilities and resulted in significant wastewater overflows. This request is to facilitate payment of reimbursements from July 11, 2021 through June 30, 2022. AE 227-60330M, Fund 760, Sewer and Operations and Maintenance Fund, Department Number 50, Appropriation Unit 50BX82. I think Ms. Perez is here to present, along with Mr. Mayuyu from Hyperion. And good morning, y'all.
Good morning, President Good, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be back here again to present some additional information about the reimbursement program. Apologies if I'm a little bit repetitive, but for those who are new to the process, I'm just going to start at the beginning and go through to make sure that nobody's forgotten or missed anything. We first launched this program on July 22nd. That's 10 days after the incident occurred, so we had to spin up the reimbursement program fairly quickly. We did make it retroactive to July 12, 2021 in order to accommodate residents who had gone out and purchased air conditioning units or hotel stays prior to the launch of the program. And as of yesterday, we did extend the program to Thursday, September 9th, or for checkout of their hotels on Friday, September 10th. We offered residents 2 options. The first is option 1, to purchase an air conditioner, a fan, purifier, filter, or related installation of up to $600 for homes under 1,000 square feet, or $1,200 for homes above 1,000 square feet. Option 2 was offered as a hotel reimbursement, including tax and applicable tourism fees, as well as self-parking for 1 overnight vehicle per night. That was reimbursement at the rate of $182 per night for the hotel, and or in addition to $66 per person per night for meals and reimbursement. The FAQs are updated regularly and placed on our website so that anybody can get their questions answered. Of course, they're always welcome to call our 24-hour customer care center as well with questions. The process we tried to make as simple as possible. They would first complete the application and then receive a splash screen upon completion that says, you may now go ahead and make your purchase or check into your hotel. Then our staff would, and that's very similar to any sort of utility rebate for comparison, that you would go out, purchase your item, as long as you're eligible, submit the paperwork and wait for your check. So we told them to go ahead and make their purchases. The staff would then start verification of the information and send them an approval email with a link to the reimbursement form so that they could complete the form and upload their attachments such as receipts, W-9, and other related documents. That was a secure online form. And within, we had originally said 2 to 4 weeks for reimbursement. Unfortunately, we're now at 6 to 12 weeks for reimbursement, and I'd like to give a little bit of background on why that reimbursement time frame has extended. This is, as you know, a new program, and we did not have the funding, staffing, infrastructure, or procedures in place to process this type of paperwork. We did work quickly to spin everything up and get it ready, but it is very labor intensive to verify this documentation. Up to 40 to 50% of our applications are missing vital information for processing. If that information is missing, the staff reaches out directly to the applicants, and if there was something additional required, we do have a simplified upload form for them to use so they wouldn't have to fill out the application all over again. We're working with the City of El Segundo to more easily verify residency rather than putting that burden on the resident. And we're also working with the Office of Accounting and the Controller's Office to streamline the verification process while continuing to perform our financial due diligence. And we do want to offer our thanks to all 3 of those organizations for the incredible teamwork and and great spirit that they've shown in working with us. For those who want to check the status of their reimbursement application, we welcome them to call our friendly 24-hour customer care center at 1-800-773-2489, or they can email our reimbursement team using the email san@lacity.org. We have been using MailChimp to send out the approval emails as well as the update emails. And we use that system because we can track the emails, see which emails have been opened, which links have been clicked, and how many times the emails have been opened and clicked, which allows us to better serve the residents and see what they've seen. On August 13th, we did expand the program to LAX North neighbors, which would encompass certain neighborhoods of Playa del Rey and Westchester, closest in proximity to the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. We did streamline the process for LAX North using the lessons learned from El Segundo, so now the application and reimbursement paperwork are one conjoined form for those neighborhoods. In El Segundo, we received 3,118 applications thus far. 2,576 of those are for air conditioner, fans, purifiers. The other 542 are for hotels. We have approximately 300 applications from our LAX North neighbors. About 90% of those are for air conditioning units and purifiers. To date, we have sent 172 checks for reimbursement. 158 of those were for air conditioning, 14 for hotel, and we anticipate approximately 150 more going out by the end of this week. And we have added considerably more staff to help with the processing all of this paperwork. With regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have translated our documents to Spanish, and those packets should be dropped off to El Segundo Library, Senior Center, and City Hall this week. The librarians and other staff are prepared to assist the seniors and anyone else who would like assistance with the reimbursement program. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. I'll start with Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you for your report. I think it was comprehensive. I don't have any questions. I'm glad that this is, going underway, and that it's before us just to help out the residents that have been impacted by just the smell and the odors and such. I am glad that LA Sanitation and the Environment took such, speedy efforts to be able to, get the program underway and help out the residents. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. President Pro Tem Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Pamela, thank you so very much for the report and the update to the board. I wanted to ask you, as an administrator for LA San, who has some interaction with the program, what is your opinion in terms of the progress that we're making on this particular project? Do you feel that we have made considerable progress in tackling this particular task? That's obviously a necessary part of what we need to be doing.
Yes, Commissioner, thank you for that question. I do feel that we've made considerable progress. We're of course disappointed that we haven't processed more checks. The city has never undertaken an effort like this in the past. This is the first time that we've done it. I believe that we did a good job of pulling a staff together, getting everything launched as quickly as possible. We've done a good job of communicating with residents. And with these new processes in place and with the new staff being trained, I do believe that we're going to see even faster progress from this point forward, and we anticipate a big jump in checks going out in the coming weeks.
Great. So obviously, I do understand due diligence is critically important in terms of us being able to send out a check. We just can't send out a check. We have to have substantiated with some receipts. So that is certainly much appreciated. And in terms of the staff, I know that organizationally, you didn't anticipate having to rearrange the workforce to do this task, but we've been able to do it. And I don't know if you've had to hire any additional people in order to do this, or have we been able to successfully move people over to this area to perform these particular tasks for our constituents?
That's a great question. No, we did not hire additional staff in order to undertake this process. What we did was pull staff from other areas. It's not just our administrative team that's helping. we have help coming in from everywhere, including some of our secretaries and executive secretaries. Everybody's really pitching in. And as you can imagine, there is a considerable training process that goes behind this. We are handling sensitive information, and we need to treat that respectfully and be cautious with that data. So we continue to train new people who are joining the program. They are hand-selected. This isn't a, hey, who wants to volunteer? We are going out and choosing the best and the brightest within our LA sanitation team to find the folks who can best and most quickly serve these residents.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea, based upon the data that we have thus far, as to how long it will take us to be able to tackle the challenge before us with the requests that we have on our desk? Can you make any projections, or have you looked at managing those requests that you have on your desk right now in terms of over time, how long it might take us to be able to finish making a real accomplishment and completing that effort?
At this time, I don't have an accurate estimate for you because we need to take a look at how many, although we do have almost 3,400 applications, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have the paperwork for all of them. Reimbursement paperwork will continue to flow in over the next few weeks, and we are adding new staff daily. So without having the new staffing numbers and without knowing exactly how many applications with paperwork have come in thus far to be processed, I'm afraid I don't have that answer for you, but I can certainly look into it and get back to you.
Sure, not a problem. And then finally, in terms of the communication path, in terms of how we receive those cases and complaints, they come to us through various agencies that we have put flyers out in the community. They call us, they email us, and what other forms of communication are the tool by which we are getting information about how to proceed in making people whole?
I would say our greatest form of communication beyond our website is really our wonderful partnership with the City of El Segundo, who have continued to work very closely with us to reach out to their residents and field questions and send them to the appropriate place to be answered. They update their website and their social media regularly. I also saw that the El Segundo Police Department has participated in some of these communications efforts as well. So it really is a team effort in ensuring that everyone understands the options available to them so that they can take advantage of them as needed.
Well, I certainly appreciate this report, and I'm very pleased to know that we are making progress in terms of helping to make people whole. And certainly as a member of the board, anything that we need to do or that needs to be brought to our attention in terms of how we can continue to make progress in completing this task, please do continue to let us know.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Davis. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you, Pam, for your report. It was very thorough. And I appreciate my colleague question, Dr. Davis. He asked really good questions and probably other ones I had in mind too. I don't have any questions. I really just want to commend the efforts that sanitation has been doing around this and making sure that everybody feels supported in both communities, El Segundo and the part of that is our city. Other than that, Pam, any support or anything that we can do to help that team out to speed along the reimbursements would be, please, that's what we're here for. So thank you, Pam, for all your work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I'd echo my colleagues' comments. Pam, or Ms. Perez, Mr. Ryu, just a couple of clarifying questions really fast. One, you said, so you'll have brought in additional staff, but it's really moving folks from other places, right?
That's correct. We're just shifting folks from within LA San.
Okay, great. To Vice President Garcia's point, any help that we can offer on that front, please don't hesitate. And then two, I know we've got 3,300 applications from El Segundo, and I think you said this, and I apologize that if I missed it. How many from LA?
We have approximately 3,100 from El Segundo residents and approximately 300 from our neighbors in Playa del Rey and Westchester.
Okay. Got it. That's helpful. All right. And I know we're continuing to communicate for folks to get their stuff in accurately so that we can actually process these. And I know that y'all will be, I believe, Director Romero and others will be also in the City Council meeting next week. So I think it'll be important to stress the fact that, you know, part of this is just what's required. We don't, you know, the City of LA, we're just not allowed to just, for y'all to just start writing checks. We have to go through processes with our controller's office, and you know that is kind of what it is. Particularly if you guys are working to expedite as much as possible. So let us know if we can be helpful, and I'll motion to approve this AFE. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any concerns or objections, Davis Garcia?
None.
All right, hearing none, this item is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you very much, Ms. Perez. Thank you, Mr. Mayuyu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Go forth and read applications. Okay, let's go back now, colleagues, to item number 1 on the agenda. Item number 1 is revised construction and maintenance agreements. And budget increase. National Railroad Passenger Corporation, BNSF Railway Company, Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, Southern California Regional Rail Authority, Metrolink, and Union Pacific Railroad 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project. Recommending the board, 1, approve an increase to the city engineers not to exceed cost ceiling from $21,300,000 to $24,600,000 to amend construction and maintenance agreements and right of entry between the City of Los Angeles and railroad agencies, including contracts with the National Railroad Passenger Corporation, the BNSF Railway Company, the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, and the Southern California Regional Rail Authority, Metrolink, SCRA, and the Union Pacific Railroad, UPRR, for the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project. And 2, forward this report with transmittals to the City Council and Mayor requesting the following. A, approve and authorize the city engineer to execute a 3rd supplemental agreement between the city and the BNSF to extend the temporary construction license date to August 14, 2022. B, approve and authorize the city engineer to execute a 2nd supplemental agreement between the city and the Southern California Regional Rail Authority to acknowledge an increase in the SCRA cost estimate from $7,302,042 to $12,226,717. C, approve and authorize the city engineer to execute a 3rd supplemental agreement between the city and the UPRR to grant additional days of temporary construction rights and extend the effective date of the agreement to August 8, 2022. And D, authorize the city engineer to make any technical corrections necessary to effectuate the amendments. Ms. Julia Sanchez de la Vega is with us today. Good morning, Ms. Sanchez de la Vega.
Good morning, President Good. Julia Sanchez de la Vega with the Bureau of Engineering. So happy to be with you this morning and speak with you about the request in front of you. What I am seeking permission for in the city engineer for him to execute is an increase in the cost ceiling from $21.3 million to $24.6 million to amend construction and maintenance agreements or C&M agreements with the 5 railroad agencies that the viaduct passes over. So referring to figure 1 on page 3 of your report, the 5 railroad agencies, those consist of, going from east to west on the project, Union Pacific Railroad, which is on the very west side of the project, towards Boyle Heights, and then right adjacent to the river on both the west and east banks of the project, we have SCARA or Metrolink. Next, we have BNSF, BNSF Rail Company, and this is on the west side of the river. Moving west, we have Amtrak tracks, and on the very western extremity, near our project office on the downtown side, is the Metropolitan Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, or Metro. This is about our sixth time to the board for these C&M agreements. We originally came to the board in November 24th of 2014, before any sort of construction began over the railroads, for authority to enter these agreements, and it have come back quite a few times since then, as recently as last year. Notably, I want to mention the approval that occurred in July 26th of 2019. In addition to increasing the overall cost authority at that time, the board forwarded the agreements to the council and requested authority to act under the agreements through December 31st of 2023. Please be reminded, currently that the project is scheduled to end over a year sooner than that, right now in the end of July 30th of 2022. So we did obtain that authority. So the council was, where we plan to act on these agreements through the new end date of the project, and, potentially further closing out issues. So the three items that we're asking the board to request send to the city council are just allowing us to, continue to act on these agreements. So the third supplemental agreement between the UPR and BNSF, or in the city and BNSF, extends the temporary construction license date beyond the project completion date through August 14th, 2022, at a rate similar to that we have under the current contract. So we recommend that be forwarded to the mayor and council. For SCARA, again, we'll be continuing to act under the current conditions of their agreement, except with just increasing the estimate of SCARA costs. So that's what this second supplemental agreement will allow us to do. And finally, the third supplemental agreement between the city and UPR grants us additional days of temporary construction rights through August 8th of 2022. And when you factor in some escalation and our increased intensity, they are offering approximately the same rate for this temporary easement extension that we've benefited from previously on the project. So we recommend those for approval. So next I want to speak a little bit more regarding the proposed cost increase. So the last time we came to the board was in February of 2021, so approximately 6 months ago now. And at that time, the board increased the authority to enter into the agreements from about $16.4 million up to the current limit of $21.3 million. We had indicated to the board, the Bureau of Engineering at that time, that we would need additional funding to fund the anticipated expenses for fiscal year 21-22 that recently started. And we advised the board that we anticipated coming back for a projected increase, bringing us up to $24,889,830, or approximately $24.9 million. And I'm happy to report our projections have remained about the same. We are coming back now and requesting that authority that we anticipated. I will note that we actually did come to the board already on April 16th of 2021 to authorize some of that additional funding. Metro, who we originally envisioned would provide flagging for the project, compensated through this C&M agreement, informed us that due to staffing issues, that they needed our project team, our contractor, to go ahead and perform that flagging after receiving appropriate Metro training. So we received authority from the board, and we'll be issuing a change order to the contractor for a projected $299,830 to compensate flagging. So the additional sum, the remainder of that $3.3 million that we had indicated to the board we come back with, is being included in this report, bringing our total quantity or authority under this board authority to $24.6 million. And as you'll see at the bottom of page 3 of your report, we've indicated the different dollar amounts and projections for each agency through the end of the project, that total that, and then additional 200,000 contingency brings us to that 24,600,000. Just notice that these are projected figures. The actual costs will, for all the agencies, will remain, within the board-approved ceiling, although the numbers between agencies may adjust a little. And lastly, I wanted to speak with you, although, as I mentioned, overall cost projection have not changed since a year ago. We have had adjustments between the railroad agencies, leading to adjustments to those projections. So the project, as you know, is moving from east to west. And although since we last came to board, the project schedule is what we anticipated that it would complete in July of 2022, the schedule has condensed, pushing kind of heavier construction and more concentrated construction work to the end of the project. So when we came to board a year ago, we had anticipated to be out of the railroad corridors by March of 2022. At this time, it looks like it will be closer to June of 2022 that we leave the railroad corridors. So for the East Bank, UPRR and SCARA, where we currently have erected the false work for the arches, the project, the condensing of the project schedule has meant will be in this area longer than anticipated and will incur more costs looking forward in the end of the project. On the east side of the project, because of the condensing of the schedule and work happening later than anticipated, there were a few months of savings that occurred on the west side of the project, but will incur different additional flagging towards the end. And so that overall, in addition to some intermittent flagging accommodation we've received from the West Railroad agencies, means we're on track to stay in track with our overall initial estimate with a few adjustments as I detailed. We're going to continue to work with the railroads to be as efficient as we can with spending on the project and ensure the best use of city and public funds, minimize to that necessary to accommodate the project. I'd be happy to address any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez de la Vega. President Pro Tem Davis, any questions on this?
Thank you so much, Julia, for your report, and I appreciate seeing the update and the progress that we have made. I did notice that you also mentioned in your report that one of the principles of your reporting is to make sure that we can most efficiently and effectively manage the various items that we have financially, and I'm glad to hear that. Could you explain to me, in terms of flagging, how flagging works in terms of the project, and when does flagging become the responsibility of the contractor with whom we're working, and then how do we then assume responsibility for it in other times in terms of the budget? I think you're muted.
You're on mute.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Yeah, so first of all, I'll say what is flagging support for the project. So each of the railroad agencies, when we're working on, over, or near their tracks and have any potential to what's called foul or, potentially impact, damage, affect their tracks or movement of trains through their tracks, we're required to have a flagger present on site to help make sure trains can pass through safely and that our project is safe. So that means we have, when the project is going, full steam as it is now with work happening, both sides of the river, our schedule is 2 shifts a day, 6 days a week. So we actually have 6 flaggers out Metrolink, SCARA, because they have tracks on both sides of the river that are different divisions and need to be managed separately. They each have a flag person, and then the other agencies as well, an additional one for UPR on the East Bank, and the other 3 agencies, BNSF, Amtrak, and Metro on the West Bank. The way the contract was established, back when it was issued to the contractor, the city covers the flagging cost. So the city is responsible through the C&M agreements. It's not a cost borne by the contractor. And because when Metro did say they needed SSW to perform the work, a change order was issued to SSW. That's not something that became their cost burden. The city still remained responsible for that cost, which is why we issued a change order to compensate the contractor to perform that flagging. Please let me know if I can provide any more specifics.
No, I think you answered my question, and that is that we are responsible for the funding of the flagging on the project. The other issue is we seemingly have done very well in terms of the west side of the project, and we had some savings. How were we able to achieve that?
We've been able to achieve that with very close coordination with the railroad agencies, particularly with BNSF and Amtrak. We meet weekly with them, let them know our forecasted activities, when we may have crane, other usage, and work with them to determine when do we need those flagger presence and where we may have more minor activities like just individuals, crossing over on the deck without performing significant work that would impact their track. So they've been able to work with us to optimize the flagging in order to provide, just the level of safety to ensure safety without, wasting the resources.
Great. In terms of overall evaluation of on time and within budget, how would you assess this project thus far?
Yeah, we've worked together to overcome various challenges. Of course, at certain times, brought requests for additional funding or time to your board, but all well vetted and justified based on conditions we've seen in the field and in other conditions. I think it's been a very successful management and coordination of the public funding and trust on this project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Julia, nice to see you. I hadn't seen you on board for a very long time. I think the last time we saw you, we were in person. So that's been quite a minute now. But good to see you're still on this project. It's important that we have continuity of leadership, especially on such a huge project that we have here. So you, Julie, and the team out there, congrats on that. And I'm happy that you guys are still staying the course. And please tell Gary never to remove you until this project is over. How's that? We'll send them a quick email. So Julia, I have just a quick couple of questions. Has anything changed on the scope of work from the last time you were all here to request a supplemental change? That's what we're doing, supplemental agreement, yeah.
There hasn't been any changes to the scope of work, affecting the railroad agencies since we last brought this to the board.
Okay, and I see that there's about a $4 million maybe cost estimate increase. Is that just because now we're expanding, or it's a larger distance that we have to now monitor?
Oh, and actually, I believe, because last time we went to the board, we had provided cost projections for project costs through last fiscal year, through the end of fiscal year 2021, and then we had projected the costs as well to carry us through the end of the project through fiscal year 21-22. So the overall, I guess cost projection as presented a year ago has not increased. We've just added and now are requesting the additional funding that wasn't available to us a year ago, that's now available in order to fund us through the end of the project.
Got it. And do you foresee this increasing or coming back to the board before August of next year?
No, I think, we've hit a good rhythm, have great relationship with the railroads, and, as long as we continue our momentum and complete the project as scheduled on July 30th of 2022, I don't see that we'll be back to the board for additional funding for railroads.
Okay, good. So we are saying that for now, projection date of completion of the 6th Street Bridge will be July of next year.
Mm.
Wow! Yay!
Yeah, that's of the final open to traffic in June, and then the final finish, hands over the key as contractor walks off site July 30th of 2022.
Nice. Wow. So this is really nice to see, to be honest, because I think I was here from the very beginning, and now it just seems like it's so close. July of 2022 is not far from now. Exciting times. Okay, Julie, those are all my questions. Thank you so much for your time, and it was really nice to see you again.
Thank you. Same here.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. I appreciate my colleagues' questions. And I was briefed on this item, but it's good just to have additional context and to hear Julie. Julie will be able to provide us just a good clarifying information and report. I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Yeah, your briefing was quite thorough and makes a lot of sense. I'm struck by the complexity of this work, that just making sure people don't get hit with trains costs a significant amount of money as well. So money well spent for sure, even if the scope and scale of it was unanticipated. Thank you for the very excellent report, Ms. Sanchez de la Vega. Agreed, it's good to see you. And I have no further questions. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'd leave it to Commissioner Closa if she was here.
Second.
Okay, so I've got a motion from Vice President Garcia, seconded by President Pro Tem Davis. Any concerns, Commissioner Villegas? All right, hearing none, the item is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you very much, Ms. Sanchez de la Vega. Have a good day. Okay, take care. All right. We should note that Commissioner Colosa has been representing the board and the department, along with some of our colleagues, at the APWA conference in St. Louis. We thank her for her service, and she's been sending me shots of very interesting machinery and infrastructure stuff that's happening in other cities. So we look forward to hearing from her on that. Okay, folks, let's move to item number 2. I'm going to read item number 2 into the record. Then Dr. Campos, I think we do have comment on the item, correct?
That is correct. We have 3 members from the general public. One of them is from Council Member Rahman's office.
Okay.
And I'd like to go towards the end, Mr. Kevin.
Okay, so I'm going to read the item in the record. Let's have we'll have public comment. We'll close the public comment with what's the gentleman's name? I'm sorry.
From Council Member Rahman's office, Kevin.
Kevin, and Kevin will close with you, and then we have a presentation coming in. So item 2, folks, is a tree removal, 5905 West Wilshire Boulevard, tree removal request, 5905 West Wilshire Boulevard, recommending the board find under the California Public Resources Code, section 21166, and the state's Environmental Quality Act guidelines, section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record that since Los Angeles County's prior certification of Environmental Impact Report, EIR SCH number 201608, 1014. There have been no changes to the project, changes with respect to the circumstances under which the project is being undertaken, or new information of substantial importance containing or concerning the project, which cause new significant environmental effect or substantial increase in severity of previously identified significant effects, and therefore no subsequent EIR, supplemental EIR, or other analysis is required for the project. 2. Specified that the Bureau of Street Services, Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. 3, review and approve the request for a fee permit for the removal of 41 street trees. Tree replacements are required. And 4, concur with the Bureau of Street Services determination that the site cannot feasibly accommodate all of the required replacement trees, and pursuant to LAMC 62.177C, authorize the tree replacement guarantee fee to satisfy the board's tree planting requirement. I see Mr. Mr. Miranda is with us. Good morning, Mr. Miranda.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, President Good.
Yeah, Mr. Miranda, hold tight. Just wanted to say hi. Dr. Campos, why don't we go ahead and have our public comment?
Absolutely, Mr. President. Thank you very much. We have 3 members of the public that would like to speak on item number 2. We'll start with caller ending in 631. Caller ending in 631. Joanne, if you can please press star 6 to unmute your microphone. You'll have 2 minutes to speak on item number 2. Please go ahead.
Joanne D'Antonio, CFAC. This museum project is unpopular with the public. There was blowback in the press that the demolitions felt sudden during COVID. The museum project was an effort to make the eclectic buildings conform to a uniform aesthetic, which has actually resulted in diminished exhibition space. The approach to the trees feels like the same philosophy of demolishing, creating a new design, and diminishing numbers. And there is a crane that is coming in like Godzilla. The trees being removed with low grades could have been watered and mulched, which would have given them resilience. But the museum wants to design its own landscape, even though the trees are in the public right-of-way and need to serve pedestrians. I see a lot of shrubs in the tree planting plan, but correct me if I'm wrong, I only see 6 new trees. They are planting 15 yuccas, which are hardly trees compared to the maturity size sycamores and London plane trees grow to. Also, pointy yuccas compose a street hazard to people. Yucca is not on the street tree list issued by the city forest officer and under consideration now. 41 trees are being removed, and this planting plan completely ignores our new biodiversity directive. Yes, the plants are drought tolerant, but we need tree canopy for shade and need natives for biodiversity preservation. Many native trees require relatively little water. For example, oaks hardly need any water in the summer. If I had any say, I would require a new planting plan. In fact, I would take another look at the trees being removed for health reasons, because unless there is obvious decay, some decent care can bring back many trees to health. Watering goes a long way to reviving trees. Irrigation systems can be tailored to particular trees. It takes the will to make it happen. In my experience, the members of the public want trees. Clearly here, the museum is not being considered a tree shade for the public. I wonder if the public will care about the museum.
2 minutes. Please go ahead and wrap up.
That tree attitude, as I see it, will contribute to their public relations problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. D'Antonio.
We'll go ahead and move on to the next caller. Caller ending in 735. Caller ending in 735. Please unmute your microphone by pressing star 6. You will have 2 minutes to speak on item number 2.
Good morning, Board of Public Works. My name is Ann Rubin. I live in Carthay Circle near the LA County Museum of Art. I've been volunteering for several years to plant parkway trees and advocating for trees on our medians and boulevards. I volunteer on the Carthay Circle Neighborhood Association Board, and I'm chair of our beautification committee. I attend CFAC meetings and the NCSA Trees Committee meetings to learn about LA tree policy and tree care, and to join with the dedicated smart tree advocates like Joanne, who are watching out for our urban forests. We need a lot more tree advocates in this big city. Thanks to street services, urban forestry, and rec and parks for their care of our trees and green spaces. We've been grateful to work together and appreciate the friendly line of communication. Makes LA feel small town. To the matter at hand, while I am saddened to see the removal of 41 mature street trees that are indispensable for our health, environment, safety, and pleasure, mature big trees are geometrically more valuable than young trees. I understand this is necessary because the new building will span Wilshire and because of equipment needs. While LACMA plans to replant a few trees around their campus, I'd like to request that LACMA be required to provide all replacement trees nearby in our rapidly densifying area to be planted and cared for on major corridors in the Miracle Mile. Specifically, replacement trees for Fairfax between Salmon City and Wilshire as part of a cohesive street canopy to improve pedestrian comfort to the new purple subway stop and museum. Replacement trees should also be planted on Wilshire east of LACMA toward the La Brea subway stop. The neighborhood would like to collaborate with urban forestry to determine the species and location. All the replacement trees need 3 years at least of regular watering to establish them as drought-tolerant large trees for the next 100 years if we do this right. Thank you kindly for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. We'll go ahead and move on to the next caller. Kevin, before I get to you, we have one other member from the public that raised their hand. Caller ending in 631. Caller ending in 631. The Board of Public Works is now considering item number 2. Are you speaking on item number 2?
I think this is Ms. D'Antonio.
Oh, that's Joanne. It's Joanne. You already did me.
I will go ahead and lower your hand, Joanne. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Kevin, now is your turn. If you can please go ahead and unmute your microphone by pressing *6. Caller ending in 819. Caller ending in 819, Kevin.
Yeah. Hi, good morning, Mr. President and board members. My name is Kevin, and I am the field deputy for Councilmember Rahman, City Council District 4. I'm calling in today because our office would like to support the community's request in the interest of planting replacement trees and encouraging LACMA to work with the community on identifying the desired species. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm good to have you here. Okay, Dr. Campos, that's it in the queue?
That clears the queue, yes.
All right, that we will, with that, then close public comment on item. And I'm going to invite Mr. Miranda to give the Streets LA presentation. And then I believe the applicant has a presentation, which I think we'd all like to see very much as well. So, Mr. Miranda, please proceed and good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, President Good, commissioners. My name is David Miranda. I'm from the Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. What we have before us today is 5905 West Wilshire Boulevard in Council District 4. Request board approval for a feet permit to remove 41 various species street trees due to the construction of overhead structure and voluntary street improvements for Los Angeles County Museum of Art, LACMA. Tree replacements are required. Condition: the applicant shall plant 20 trees consisting of one 48-inch box-sized crepe myrtle tree, 4 60-inch box silk floss trees, and 6 48-inch box African sumac trees, and 9 35-foot round trunk Mexican fan palms along the 5900 block of West Wilshire Boulevard. All replacement trees on site will be watered for a minimum of the 3-year period after planting. The 62 additional trees needed to meet the Bureau's board's 2-to-1 tree replacement policy cannot be feasibly planted on site. Therefore, pursuant to LA Municipal Code 62177, applicant shall pay tree planting guarantee fee of $120,590,000. Alternative methods and options were explored. Streets LA endeavors to preserve as many mature, healthy trees as possible. and discuss possible methods with the applicant to retain trees while minimizing conflict and allowing construction to proceed as planned. Streets LA staff virtually met with the applicant to discuss the project and the need to remove the trees. The original replanting plan proposed by LACMA consisted of a row of palm trees along the north side of Wilshire Boulevard. After a series of meetings with Streets LA, LACMA submitted a revised replanting plan containing a mix of palm trees and broadhead trees. The broadhead trees are positioned to provide shade and cooling for museum patrons and other pedestrians in the future. According to the applicant, the 41 trees required to removal to allow for clear and safe tower crane swing to facilitate construction of a building over Wilshire Boulevard. Due to the nature, design, and challenges of construction, there are no feasible alternatives to retain the 41 street trees. However, the applicant will be retaining one cluster of 4 trunks of Mexican fan palms, 2 date palms, and 1 crepe myrtle tree located in the center median, and 1 London plane on Wilshire Boulevard located adjacent to the site. Recital, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, LACMA, is constructing an approximately 347,500 square feet museum and the building on amenities permit of collection located at 5905 Wilshire Boulevard. The project site is between Ogden Drive and West Curzon and the East Mid Wilshire area of the city of Los Angeles. The new museum building will replace 4 deteriorating buildings on LACMA's East Campus and consists of a single horizontal gallery that is elevated above grade, supported by 7 art towers and a large section of building across over Wilshire Boulevard. The portion of the new museum that is proposed to cross over Wilshire Boulevard is approximately 143 feet wide and will be used as a museum to exhibition space. On December 2019, the Los Angeles City Council conditionally approved the airspace vacation to allow construction of the new museum over Wilshire Boulevard, VACE 1401-310. The trees are in fair to poor condition, measuring approximately 2 to 20 inches in diameter by 12 to 60 feet in height, growing in 4-foot tree wells, are in a landscape median. According to the applicant, all 41 trees must be removed to allow the developer to construct the project. California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, the Los Angeles County prepared a certified environmental impact report for the project, finding the project will have less than significant environmental effect in the incorporation of mitigation measures identified in EIR. The project EIR was utilized in forming the recommendations in the support of this file to Streets LA and available to the public upon request. In addition, Streets LA Urban Forestry Division Streets LA Urban Forestry Division would like to provide additional information to the board as background by reading into record that on December 3rd, 2019, the City Council considered the final EIR for the project, made appropriate findings pursuant to CEQA, and imposed the mitigation measures identified in the EIR for this entire project as conditions to the approval of the airspace vacation. The revision language was shared with the Executive Officer Campos to properly reflect the revisions. Conclusion, 4th Council District was informed of the tree removal request on April 20th, 2021. Notice of the tree removals were physically posted on the subject trees on September 3rd, 2020. Proposed tree removals were included on the Bureau of Street Services tree removal notification system, and the Community Forestry Advisory Committee, CFAC, and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment were all notified. The applicant has been advised of the recommendations contained in this report. This concludes my report. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer. And if not, then we will turn it over to LACMA for presentation.
Thanks, Ms. Miranda. I appreciate that. Actually, before we do questions, I'd actually, if folks are willing / able to hold, let's go ahead and see the presentation from the applicant.
Great.
This is Craig Lawson. Can you hear me? Okay. Good morning, President Good and members of the Board of Public Works. My name is Craig Lawson, a land use consultant at Craig Lawson and Company, speaking on behalf of the LA County Art Museum, known as LACMA, located on Wilshire, just east of Fairfax. Andy Adami in my office and I have been part of the LACMA project team for more than 6 years. I can tell you this is a truly unique project which has required approvals from both the county and the city. I'm pleased to present to you an overview of the LACMA project and a review of the street tree removal request, which is before you today. Special thanks to the urban forestry staff and to David Miranda for preparing the detailed staff report. We have many team members available to answer questions that you may have, including Judy Benonsky, who is from Olin, the landscape architect, and she will assist in this presentation. Slide 2, please. LACMA's long-range plan. Can we get to slide 2? There we go. To expand and enhance galleries and increase park area and outdoor space is coming to fruition with the construction of the approximately 350,000 square foot museum building, which will display the permanent collection. The new building, designed by well-known architect Peter Zumthor, replaces 4 inefficient, deteriorating structures with a new environmentally sustainable building. The elevated building crosses Wilshire and will open up 3.5 acres of new public outdoor space. As mentioned, in 2019, after many years of public outreach, the EIR and the project were unanimously approved by the county, and the airspace vacation over Wilshire was approved by the city. The demolition of the 4 aging buildings began in late 2019 and has now been completed. Construction of the new building began in 2020, and the project is on schedule to be completed in late 2023 and will open to the public in 2024, roughly the same time when the new Metro Purple Line station opens at Wilshire and Fairfax. The project site is located within LACMA's East Campus, bounded by Wilshire, the La Brea Tar Pits, 6th Street, and the vacated portion of Ogden Drive. LACMA's West Campus, which remains open to the public, includes the Urban Light installation, the Broad Contemporary Art Museum, and the Resnick Pavilion. The new museum building consists of a single-level exhibition gallery that is entirely elevated above grade and crosses over Wilshire Boulevard. Elevating the building allows for public programming and views under the building that will open up Hancock Park, both visually and functionally, to passersby on Wilshire. The building will also include a sidewalk cafe and publicly accessible artwork, which will activate the pedestrian realm along Wilshire Boulevard. Next slide. I'll walk you through the renderings of the new museum to give you a sense of the manner in which the building crosses over Wilshire. This view from toward the east shows the curvilinear shaped roof that crosses over Wilshire with portions of the exhibition level to the north and the south of Wilshire. The new building provides abundant shade in the outdoor, free public event areas and sidewalks, providing respite for pedestrians. Next slide. The single-level exhibition space will also achieve a new vision for museums that would mirror the diversity of our city by presenting art from all areas of the museum's diverse collections on the same plane. LACMA is committed to embracing all communities of LA County and all artistic traditions from around the world. Positioning art from different cultures on the same level embodies LACMA's ideals of openness, accessibility, and equity. Next slide. This is a rendering which shows the design intention maintaining the existing Mexican fan palms along Wilshire. To preserve these palms as cultural symbol of the museum and of the city of Los Angeles, and to allow views into the site, welcoming pedestrians into the publicly accessible gardens around the building. The Mexican fan palms along Wilshire are also valued for their complementary height, in that they will be a perfect height to add some greenery to the views from the building's raised exhibition level. Next slide. The LACMA West Campus is widely known for and identified by its large-scale art installation by renowned local artist Robert Irwin, known as Primal Palm Garden. This includes approximately 150 palm trees, with the largest portion of these being the same species as the Mexican fan palms, bookending the campus on Wilshire and 6th Street. Robert Irwin was inspired by the palms lining Wilshire, and these Mexican fan palms were specifically selected for his installation because they fit the fabric of the site and help link the elements of the museum's campus. Mexican fan palms along Wilshire have become an important part of the public experience of the Irwin installation and the LACMA campus as a whole. Further, the Primal Garden installation can be viewed from both the sidewalk and by passing vehicles, represents public art that is free and accessible to all. Next slide. Palm trees are significant to LACMA's identity and history, and a further testament to this is the use of the palm for LACMA's business card designed by the late artist John Baldessari. Not only are the palms recognized by the community as a symbol of LACMA, but they also serve as wayfinding elements, bookending the entry to the campus on the Wilshire frontage. Replacing the subject palms with the same iconic fan palms will help to maintain this balance, symmetry, and the entry sequence. Next slide. A total of 41 existing trees are to be removed, and 5 existing street trees will be protected in place. The streetscape plan includes a total of 25 street trees with 20 new trees that have been replaced or added, and 5 protected in place trees. Next slide, please. Of the 41 existing trees to be removed, 14 Mexican fan palms will be removed on the north side of Wilshire, east of Spalding. Next slide. The trees shaded in red need to be removed as they conflict with the tower crane turn radius. The trees in green need to be removed because they conflict with the portion of the new building that will cross over Wilshire. The blue shaded trees must be removed as they conflict with the false work needed to construct the building. The trees shaded in pink conflict with the curb alignment, and the orange shaded trees orange shaded tree conflicts with the required street light. I'm now going to turn the floor over to the project landscape architect, Judy Vinansky from Olin. She's going to present some more information about the streetscape plan. Judy, I think you're on.
Yes, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to walk you through the new proposal of the street landscape from west to east. On the west side, 14 existing Mexican fan palms will be replaced with a combination of new 35-foot clear trunk Mexican fan palms, as well as African sumac canopy trees. The spacing and the grouping that you see will provide an appealing rhythm that offers shade as well as views into the Hancock Park. One London plane that you see on the left-hand side, on the south side of Wilshire, will be protected in place and will remain. In the median, we will be protecting in place 4 existing trees, and we will be adding 4 silk floss trees, a new crepe myrtle tree to complement an existing protected in place crepe myrtle. Next slide, please. This slide shows you the trees that we are proposing for the new street landscape. The Mexican fan palm and the African sumac are both on the north side of the sidewalk, and the silk floss and the crepe myrtle will be within the median. These trees are all tough, reliable trees, are grown very successfully in this part of California, and as is recognized by the U.S. Forest Service. They all attract birds and pollinators when in flower, and the African sumac, in addition, is an evergreen tree that will provide shade all year round.
Thank you, Judy. To conclude, in summary, the LACMA building for the permanent collection is important to Los Angeles at this critical time. Based on a recent independent economic report by the LA Economic Development Corporation, the new building will generate 9,700 direct and indirect jobs, $1.2 billion in economic output, $710 million in value added for the county. This concludes our presentation. I respectfully request that you approve the staff recommendation and support the LACMA street tree removal proposal. We're happy to answer questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lawson, Ms. Vanansky. Thank you very much. Colleagues, we have Mr. Miranda here, obviously, as well as the folks from LACMA. And let's open this up for discussion. Vice President Garcia, I'll start with you.
Sure. Thank you, President Good. And I want to thank everybody on the LACMA team, the Urban Forestry team, and Council Office that's here today as well. Thank you for the presentation. It's really appreciated when we can see in visual what's going to happen and what needs to happen next, and why are trees being removed when it's explained in a very efficient way like you all did today. Is very understandable why all of these need to be replaced. I don't have any big question. I don't have any questions really. It was really well and thoroughly reported today. But I do want to make a comment, and maybe it's more of a maybe I do have a question then. Clarification question is, we are replacing these trees with bigger box trees, right? Trees that are already mature, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to download again the report because it went out of my tablet. I'm seeing here that we're going to replace them with like 48-inch box, and then we have a 60-inch box. So these are trees that are already coming mature or slightly more mature than our regular planting, right?
That's correct.
Maybe this is a question for David.
Yes, that's correct. The standard is a 24-inch box, so these are much larger than the standard that they are planting. So they'll already provide somewhat kind of shade right off the bat when they're planting.
Thank you, David. I just wanted to stress that out because that is something that we, that at least I'm always looking for. Sometimes we replace the trees and we put them with very, very small trees, and it takes years before they can provide the shade. And so I appreciate the effort that LACMA is doing in making sure that we already put in big trees that will provide shade right away. As you know, that area is like every other area, right? Really concrete and very city, and so any shade that we can get, we appreciate. So thank you for that. And just lastly, the renderings of the new LACMA Museum are very beautiful, and I'm excited to see that come to fruition here in the city. As a child, as a kid, I would always go to LACMA, and La Brea Tar Pits was like our elementary field trip all the time. So I'm very familiar around that area, and I'm really happy to see it just blossom like the way it is. And lastly, my last comment, because this is the first time I had ever seen the rendering, that piece of building that's going to go across Wilshire, that's like an internal tunnel, right? It's almost, okay, good. It looks beautiful, by the way. So looking forward to attending any grand openings when that happens. Thank you, everybody, for your time, and I appreciate today's report.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis.
Thank you very much, President Good. And first, I'd like to thank the presenters for giving us an opportunity to, first of all, see the new proposed museum. And I love your vision of inclusion and the multicultural focus and vision that you have. I think is so appropriate for Los Angeles and the many various different cultures that we have. To our point today about trees, I think that you have wisely chosen a number of various trees that you will be planting. The African tree, I think, is one that will have some shade, will it? Or will it have shade?
That will have shade. That is a broadhead tree that is evergreen, broadleaf evergreen.
And then how many of those do we propose to plant?
I believe we are planting 6.
Okay. And then the other trees are beautiful with the pink flowers on them that'll be in the median. I don't know how long and how large do they get at the root?
Okay,
Do we know?
The roots of these trees are confined because they are within the median themselves. So, you know, they can only go to the extent of the soil that's available for them.
Great. Well, of course, I asked that question having been here for a few years and having experienced the ficus trees, many of which we discovered some 50 years later, which is responsible for us doing a lot of repair work. So I just thought that I'd ask now, and I'm sure that before you made this selection that our urban forestry team was a part of a collaborative decision before you chose these trees. And so I just thought I'd ask just to make sure that some years later when we're long and gone, that we don't have the same problem with the pink trees. The other thing is the palm trees. So for those who are arborists, I'm not one, but I do understand and appreciate the palm tree. It's not a popular decision for some people, but for me, I think aesthetically, California is indirectly associated with palm trees, and people look to palm trees to California, as in America we do with most of our areas where the climate is warm all the time, whether it be Florida or any other area. So I think that many people, even though some of those who are more astute in trees may not agree, but I do understand the aesthetic value that the Mexican palm tree will bring us. Also, I think it will complement the facility, the new museum as well. And so I do understand, again, the value of the palm trees, and I believe that it does, again, add value. So overall, I just wanted to say that I appreciate understanding your new museum, the construction of it. I do believe, in summary, that the trees that you have selected appear to complement the construction of the museum. So that's my observations, more so than the questions I don't have. I wanted you to know, as a member of the board, that I feel pretty satisfied with what you have presented here today. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mike. Dr. Davis, Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I appreciate the members of the public that provided comment. Thank you to the feedback for joining us this morning. I appreciate your comments as well, and also Councilmember Rahman's office for joining us, and the LACMA team. Thank you also for providing the thorough presentation. Just gives context for our staff and what they have to work with. Thanks, David, for your report as well. I heard just a couple of the comments, just wanting additional trees planted just along the public right-of-way, just along Fairfax and Wilshire and San Vicente. And I understand that it's it's not enough spacing for us to be able to put more trees, but with the $120,000, 590 that will be paid by LACMA to the city. I'm wondering if some of, if it's not necessarily around that exact footprint or that exact public right-of-way, if they could be placed in other areas. And this is not necessarily a question for LACMA, but more for a question for our Streets LA team.
Right, so exactly what you said. They're going to be paying $120,590 into the guaranteed tree fee, which will allow an additional 62 broadhead trees to be planted throughout Council District 4. We'll work and also provide the maintenance for 3 years, up to 5 years if needed. So we'll work closely. I know Ann Rubin, we planted several trees along with her on the Carte Circle on the San Vicente median, and we look forward to working with Council District 4 and the community to get the trees back in the right place.
Wonderful, David. I just wanted to put that on record so that both the council district and some of the other members from the public just understand that our Streets LA team will continue to work with them to be able to plant more trees in that area. We're far from our goal, but we appreciate LACMA's effort to help us out as well in other communities. And I look forward just to also just going back to the museum. I know it's open right now, taking my kids there, but just they love going to the Barbara Kruger elevator. I don't know why, but everybody loves that thing. But just looking forward to being back and seeing this project fully come to fruition is going to be an awesome experience. Thank you very much for working with our staff, saying this to the Rockman team and to David and Greg, Spots and just all the team from Streets LA. Thank you for just working through some of the issues. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Mr. Miranda, could you do me a favor and maybe I'm just a limited man. The number on my driver's license hurts my memory. So walk me through a little bit more again the tree planting plan. What just the apples to, let's say, palms exchange we're looking at.
Right, so the applicant's gonna plant 20 trees consisting of one 48-inch box-sized crepe myrtle, 4 60-inch box-sized silk floss trees, and 6 48-inch box-sized African sumac trees, and 9 35-foot brown trunk Mexican fan palm trees.
By the way, Mike, I agree. The African sumac trees are fantastic.
Right.
Very, very cool. And I know that there was a lot of work. Thank you, David. I know that there was a lot of very concentrated work between Streets LA and LACMA and the team here. I see Mr. Goban has joined us. I know everyone was engaged heavily on this. I will say, for the record, for the public, Ms. D'Antonio, CPAC, the voluminous written public comment that we received, that we continue to appreciate your engagement. It is important, and we hear it. I will say also for the record that respectfully, President Pro Tem Davis, the issue of palms and the ongoing discussion around palms with this board and in Public Works is an important one. I certainly respect, appreciate the aesthetic import of the palms, particularly relative to LACMA. Nice move with the card graphic. That was good. Thank you. I get it, right? Absolutely get it. And at the risk of being master of the obvious, aesthetic is kind of important when we're talking about LACMA. I get it very much. For the record, not so much necessarily for the item before us. I do think it's always important to recognize that the world is on fire. Our city is continuing to suffer and will continue to suffer from urban heat island effect. Mid-city is at risk of being a concrete jungle that will feel that heat. And so I personally will guard every potential tree, and simply put, palm trees, though the aesthetic is nice, and I definitely get it. And I also get, and the presentation was helpful because you get the aesthetic, not just the aesthetic, but the actual practical necessity of palms and its relation to the above grade construction. I get it more clearly, and so I appreciate the presentation. That said, lovingly and respectfully, Dr. Davis, I will fight palms forever, at least in Los Angeles. Not necessarily at LACMA. So, and I do want to make that point, and I think it's important for the record. I think it's important for the community. I do want to the extent possible, really memorialize for the record my expectation that Streets LA, and to the extent possible, and I really ask this of LACMA, here to really work with the community on the in lieu tree plan. I know that the council has an annual plan. I want to figure out how to make sure that these in lieu replacements, or the in lieu, again, and this is not so much a LACMA issue, although we would welcome you all to engage as community partners on this, because it will certainly still impact the corridor, your landscape broadly. It'll matter, right? But to the extent possible, David and crew at Streets LA, and in a nod to CD4, thank you very much for coming. Please engage assiduously with the community, with CFAC, with CD4 on what that plan looks like, because the silver lining on the loss, aside from the very attractive landscape that you guys are working on over there, and I say that as a compliment, Ms. Vinotsky, there's a real opportunity in that in lieu fee to really do some great shade work and landscaping work and canopy work in the immediate vicinity. And I too love bringing my daughter for annual pictures at the lights, and I'd like for her to enjoy shade as we walk up and down Wilshire and then surrounding communities. So please make sure, David, and you tell me what you need, or you tell us what you need to make sure that that happens, and we will facilitate that. And I will certainly have that expectation moving forward. With that, again, thank you, Ms. D'Antonio, thank you, CFAC, thank you, CD4, for coming and communicating your expectations. We appreciate it always. Thank you to the LACMA team for being here and really walking through everything. It's greatly appreciated, and for coming to the table with Streets LA to come up with an agreement. Thank you for those African, what are they called again? David?
African sumac trees.
African sumac, yeah, those are beautiful. Thank you for those. And I will, I'll take a motion to move the item forward.
I move the item forward.
All right, I'll take Dr. Davis's motion. Do I got a second from Villegas?
I'll second that too.
I'll take 2 seconds. I don't object. Absent Commissioner Caloza, hearing no objections, the tree removal request is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you all so much, and have great weeks, and good luck with the work.
Thank you for all your help. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Goodwin, for joining. Thank you, Ms. Benotsky.
Thanks. No, pleasure. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right, folks, let's move forward. Next item up, item number 3. Item number 3 is a contract award, International Line Builders, Inc., DBA ILB Electric. West Side Mobility Phase 2, Council District number 5, West Side Traffic Signal Improvements and Warner Center Project. Recommending the board, 1, find Comet Electric, first low bidder, to be non-responsive as discussed in this report. 2, declare International Line Builders, Inc., DBA ILB Electric, second low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award ILB a contract for the West Side Mobility Phase 2, Council District number 5, West Side Traffic Signal Improvements and Warner Center Project for $4,719,105. And 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Work order E1908861. Mr. Driscoll, are you here to present?
I am here.
Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning to you guys. Again, my name is Adam Driscoll. I'm with LADOT, and I am here to ask the board to award the West Side Mobility Phase 2, CD5 West Side Traffic Signal Improvements and Warner Center Project to International Line Builders for the $4,719,105. A little background on this project. Despite the lengthy title, it's a very straightforward project that includes traffic signal safety improvements at 24 intersections at different areas of the city. Most of these traffic signal improvements are our standard upgrade to a protected left turn movement, where we have a lot of, that helps with a lot of conflicts with pedestrians we have. A few of them are brand new signals, and a few of them are pedestrian hybrid beacon signals that we install now. We also call those Hawks. So those are the 24, that's what we're getting at these 24 locations. All 24 come with street lighting improvements. A few of them are also going to come with some sidewalk and ramp improvements to get those up to ADA compliance. So while the scope is pretty straightforward for all these locations, the reason for the lengthy title is that we put together 3 smaller projects into this one bid package. And so I'll quickly go over background on those 3 projects. The first one in this project we call Westside Mobility Phase 2. Westside Mobility came out of a council motion from CD11, where they identified funds and instructed DOT to prepare designs and implement safety improvements at 17 intersections in their district. The first 10 of those have already been contracted out and are currently under construction and should be wrapping up in the next couple months. This contract gets the last 7 of those in, and they'll be built as part of this contract. Similarly, the CD5 traffic signal safety improvements came out of a motion from CD5 that identified funds and directed DOT to do improvements at the 7 intersections in their district. And finally, the Warner Center portion of this project, part of the much bigger Warner Center plan was there's either funding or some requirements in the language in there that requires traffic safety mitigation as part of that. And we worked with some folks at DOT worked with the Warner Center Implementation Board to identify good candidates for these safety improvements. So the 10 in this project are the 10 we identified. So just to go over it again quickly, Westside Mobility, we're getting 7 improvements at 7 intersections in CD11, CD5 is getting 7, and the Warner Center area is getting these 10. A couple other things just about this contract, or about this project. Anytime we do traffic signal construction improvements, there's a potential for parking loss. And I just want to confirm with you all and reassure you that we've reached out to all the council offices that will be affected by the parking loss. There's very limited parking loss at intersections where we just do the standard left turn improvement, but at the locations where we install new signals or new pedestrian crossings and beacons, there's a higher likelihood of parking loss. So we've reached out to the council offices and informed them of that, and they will be also notified when we have our pre-construction meeting and throughout the construction process, and DOT will assist them with any type of community outreach or any of those issues that they want help with. We're happy to help with. And I'll also point out that the first recommendation in this report is to deem Comet Electric non-responsive. As explained in the report, they were deemed to have not complied with some of the BIP outreach requirements. And they were notified of that, and they have not responded or indicated that they intended to challenge or protest that decision. And as far as I can tell, they're not here today to protest this. So I think we're good to go with awarding it to International Line Builders. That's all I got. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'm ready to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Driscoll. Colleagues, Vice President Garcia, any questions?
Thank you so much, Adam, for your report. Is BCA here after all? Adam, were we able to get somebody from BCA today?
It sounded like someone was here to speak on it just in case Comet did show up, but
Courtney Luke, Fernando Campos Executive Officer, Courtney Luke from BCA is on the line. Unfortunately, I do not see a video cam availability. However, the audio line is working. Courtney, can you confirm your audio is working?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Oh, thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can't see you though. I just wanted to confirm the second bidder, and were they aware that basically are they up to date with the decision made today is what I'm trying to really get at. And second, what was it that they did not submit to make them qualify? Those are just my two clarifying questions.
So for the first low bidder that was deemed non-responsive, which is Comic Electric Incorporated, they did not complete the outreach on LA Bobbin, nor did they negotiate in good faith. With that said, they also did not meet the MSM. They hit about 13.29%, and the requirement for this project is around 25%. So we did send them a non-responsive letter. They have confirmed and acknowledged receipt of it, and like what we said earlier, they did not plan to protest, or nor did they show up on this board meeting to protest about it.
Got it. Understood. Okay. Thank you very much, Anna, for your report. Well described. And thank you, Courtney, for your time as well. I don't have any other questions, President Good.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Villegas.
I don't have any questions. I was going to ask the same thing that Commissioner Garcia asked, just to make sure. I know that Mr. Driscoll did say that in his report, that that they were already notified, but they were not here to protest. So just like the PCA was also able to confer that information. Thank you very much.
Thank you. President Pro Tem Davis.
Thank you for your report. No questions for me on this particular item. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. I'm clear and good, Mr. Driscoll, as well. I will take a motion to approve the item.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any concerns or objections, Garcia or Villegas?
None.
All right, hearing none, the item is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you.
Mr. President, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, just for the record, is that moved by Dr. Davis and seconded by you, or vice versa? Did you move and Commissioner Davis seconded?
I moved it.
He moved it.
That's what I thought, yeah. I'm missing a second then.
That's okay. Oh, we didn't get a second, did we? I'm sorry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Take it. Thanks, Dr. Campos. Take a
Thank
second from Vice President Garcia. With no objections from me or Commissioner Villegas, I believe. Right, so adopted forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. We good to go?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that brings us to item 4. Item 4 is a contract award, Baker Electric, Inc., Traffic Light Synchronization Program, Phase 2, Package 2, Los Angeles Department of Transportation, recommending the board declare Baker Electric, Inc., the apparent third low bidder, who becomes the lowest bidder for bid evaluation purposes after after application of the local business preference, to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award Baker a contract for this project for the total base amount of $5,603,362.70 as discussed in this report. And 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Work order E1 908869. Mr. Chen, are you here to present?
Correct. Thank you. Thank you, President Good. Thank you, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Mr. Chen, before you start your presentation, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer here again. Mr. President, would you like to hear from the caller ending in 454? I believe Richard from Dynalectra is on the line. Would you like to hear the presentation from the Bureau first and then have Mr. Richard?
Yeah, let's actually hear Mr. Richard, and then we'll have our presentation.
Great, thank you, Mr. President. Richard, caller ending in 454, caller ending in 454. If you can please unmute your microphone at this time by pressing *6. Since you are a real party of interest, there's no time limit on this item for you. However, if you do start to repeat yourself, the chair may ask you to condense your testimony. Please go ahead.
Understood. My name is Richard Shackleton. I work for Dynalectric. I'm the manager for the transportation group. In regards to the award of this project, I tried to fax over a letter to the City Board of Public Works, but your fax machine doesn't seem to answer. However, to recap the joint report number 2, on May 26th, Dynalectric bid this project for the amount of $5,410,757. And at bid time, we were the apparent low bidder. Bureau of Contract Administration has reviewed the bid, and as you see in your report, declares Baker Electric as the lowest responsible bidder based on the local business preference, which is a reduction of their bid amount by 8%, which would put their number lower than ours for reference. Our proposal, Dynalectric's, is actually $192,605 less than Baker Electric's. According to the board report on page 8, this project incorporates a project labor agreement, which is one of the requirements of the project labor agreement is to promote employment opportunities for local residents and provide apprenticeship training for the duration of the construction. We are currently working on a project called Vision Zero 2B, to where the project labor agreement has some pretty significant goals as far as local hires and disadvantaged workers, and 50% of all the apprentices have to be local residents. And we've been meeting those goals through this entire project, which is about to end. So we're familiar with the project labor agreement. The local business program, which Dynalectric was a certified LBE contractor at one time, but it expired, and oversight on our part was not renewed in a timely fashion. And we are currently in the process of reapplying for the local business program ourselves. So, and hopefully soon we will have that as well. But it being that this project is a part of a project labor agreement, it kind of mirrors the intent of utilizing a local business contractor. The PLA applies in this project. Because the PLA applies in this project, again, according to the board report, page number 8, we believe that it's in the city's best interest to award the project to KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dynalectric Los Angeles. I appreciate you giving me the chance to speak, so if you have any questions, please ask.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, Dutch Campos would like, I can't remember Richard's last name. It just says Richard Dynalectric.
Richard Shackleton.
Okay, I'd appreciate you staying available for questions.
No problem.
Mr. Chen, why don't you go ahead and give us your presentation?
Thank you, President Good. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is George Chen. I'm with City Los Angeles Department of Transportation. The item before you is the contract award to Baker Electric for the project of Traffic Light Synchronization Program, Phase 2, Package 2. This is a second part of a two-part project. The first part's already awarded by this board a month and a half ago, and that project is going on, and this is a continuation of that project. This project basically consists of replacing traffic signal cabinets with more advanced traffic signal control technology in it, and also closed circuit television for traffic surveillance. We also have signal timing upgrades for traffic control, traffic signal communication systems upgrades as part of this project for the central control system that DOT manage. The detailed project work includes procurement, testing, configurations, wiring, installation, and controller replacement and auxiliary equipment installations. That also includes fiber optic and underground conduit communications fiber installations. The project will enhance DOT's central control systems in early incident detections, transit priority, emergency preemptions, and work management. The contract is the contract duration is 240. The the project has been reviewed for environmental considerations. It was determined that to be categorically exempt pursuant to 1970 Article 3. And the project also and it was also determined the project complied with the provisions of National Environmental Policy Act under category exclusions. The funding for this project is the California State SB1 funding source. There's no impact to the general fund for this particular contract. The project, after the evaluation of all the bids, the city has awarded to Baker Electric, which is the third lowest bid. I think Bureau of Contract Administration staff's here to explain the detail of it for that part of the discussion. So here, I'm here to, I hear some noise. I'm here to ask the board to contracts per the city process on evaluating the bid process and also as part of the contract process. Yeah, I'm here, I'm ready for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Mr. Gutierrez, anything you'd like to add? And by the way, if you're on as a panelist, please make sure and mute unless you're speaking.
Thank you. Good morning, Board President, Commissioners, Bureau Rep, City Attorney, Executive Officer. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Mr. Shackleton, he did share a lot of what's going on this project. My Bureau of Contract Administration, is recommending award to Apparent Third Low Baker, a certified local business enterprise. Their bid was $5,603,362.70. But after application of the 8% local preference, their bid becomes about $5.1 million, which is less than apparent first low bidder Dynalectric, who was a non-LBE. Their bid amount was $5,410,757. Beyond that, I could go over their pledged percentages. Dynalectric pledged 0.8% MBE, 0.6% W and SBE, 0% E, DVBE, and LGBTBE, and lastly, 34.08% OBE. Apparent Third Low Baker pledged 0% M, S, E, and DVBE, 0.4% WBE, and last 29.25% OBE. Both contractors, prime bidders, met the MSM requirement. And I can also take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Colleagues, let's open it up. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. Appreciate the report for today from Mr. Chen and Mr. Gutierrez, and thank you, Mr. Shackleton, for joining us. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I hope I am. Seems that we've just in the last almost 2 years that I've been on the board, we seem to have a good relationship also with Dynalectric and able to award them other contracts in the past. I hope that Dynalectric continues to do business with the city and gets their LBE certification in the near future. If I don't have any questions because I read through the report and I understand the limits that we have. I just there's these are the rules that the city of Los Angeles follows to be able to do our contracting in the city, and if the requirements aren't there, then it's a little tough for us to jump over them. So I will leave it at that, and I'm just going to appreciate the reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes. I wanted to ask about the project labor agreement. That we have a project labor agreement on this particular project. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct.
And that means that any contractor that would be selected would have to include those individuals in on the project, right?
That's correct, yes.
So then to have the project labor agreement folk in is not exclusive to Diamond Electric at all. It would be something that would be included on any contractor that would do the work. As Commissioner Villegas says, that as we look at what the criteria are, it looks like, according to what I'm hearing from this presentation, that as a prime contractor who is local, you get certain quality points that are adjusted to your overall formula, your overall sum that is evaluated. And as a result of that, this is how we came to get the current contractor as the one to get the bid, correct?
Yes,
is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So having said that, it then becomes very clear that anyone will have to have included the project labor agreement folk, and that unfortunately the person who raised the issue in concern did not have a current updated local preference status in place, resulting in them not getting the bonus points that would have allowed them to be the lowest bidder. So it appears to me that the data is very clear in terms of the decision made based upon the numbers as we evaluate prime contractors for such contracts. So with that, I think I'm pretty clear, Mr. President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. And thank you, Mr. Chen, Mr. Gutierrez for the presentation. Thanks to Mr. Shackleton for joining us here today. It's Shackleton, correct? Richard? From Down Electric?
Mr. Shackleton, if you can please press *6 to unmute your microphone. The Board of Public Works has a question for you.
Good afternoon now. I have another comment if I can.
Actually, let's hold on that for a second, if you could.
Okay.
I have questions for you.
Okay.
So, and I appreciate you coming because I want to just hear a little more. So how many contracts approximately with the city, and maybe you don't know this, but how many, you've done a lot of, Down Electric's done a lot of work with the city, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
So this is not new work. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Down Electric is a national corporation. How many offices do you have nationwide?
Dyne Electric is owned by a company called MCOR, and MCOR is a national company. There's Dyne Electric across the entire United States. We run out of our own office. We basically run independent with the oversight of a parent company called MCOR.
And how many years have you been doing business? Has Dyne Electric been doing business in the city of LA?
Dyne Electric in LA has been doing business for over 40 years.
Okay. And you were formally certified as a local business, correct?
That is correct, which I believe expired a year and a half ago. I was with the company that I left, and then I came back. When I came back, I realized that it had expired. However, we failed to get it renewed in a timely fashion. It was an oversight, and we're trying to get that remedied now. But it's not a quick thing.
Right. But Down Electric certainly knew enough about the law to become a local business, and then knew enough about the law to subsequently apply to be certified again, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
And there's no claim that the city's been unclear about this requirement, correct?
No, we're not denying the fact that we are not currently an approved or certified LBE. Not currently.
What I want to be really crystal clear about, because I think this is very important, is Dyna Electric is a sophisticated company that is cognizant of local law. This local business, I believe, preference is actually city council code driven, state law, federal law, things like wages, all the above. You're highly cognizant of those laws, correct?
We are, as far as comes to certified payroll reports, contract compliance. If we have project labor agreements, we adhere to those. The only thing we just don't have is a current certified local business preference program. We're re-evaluating that right now and should be hopefully reapplying with that within soon. I'm actually going to oversee it myself.
Yeah.
But one of the things I'd like, if I may, one of the things I'd like to bring up.
Hold on, sir.
Is because.
Hold on, sir.
Okay.
What I want to be clear about and establish is that, for me at least, for this board, it is uninspiring to have folks who have a long history with the city, who know the law, who know the requirements, to come here and complain in the face of that when they have failed to do what they were obligated to do. My colleagues may disagree, but I can tell you that I find it rather uninspiring. And so I want to make sure that that's very clear on this record. I also would like to establish another thing. As someone who takes great pride in having signed our most recent Master Public Works Project Labor Agreement, which is that project labor agreements and local business preference are completely distinct policy imperatives. They have nothing to do with each other. And so very few things make me prouder than our project labor agreement. Very few things also make me prouder than our local business preference opportunity. And so if you have something to add to that, because I certainly expect that the contractors we do business with, particularly those with a sophisticated understanding of the law, think critically about what they complain about. So go ahead, sir.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. I do understand, and I'm not arguing the fact that we're not a current LBE, nor am I complaining about it. The question I brought up on this one is the fact that this project follows a project labor agreement as well as a local business preference when they kind of mirror each other when it comes to requirements. If I follow a project labor agreement, I'm agreeing to use local employees and apprentices on this project. Now, going back on a project a while back, and if I recall, Mr. Davis, I think, was the only council member on the council at that time. It was this project called My Big. And All-American Asphalt was awarded this job, but they were the lowest bidder. But during the award portion as we are in today, the contract administration recommended that Griffith Company be given the project because of their LBE status. However, it was given to All-American because, one, it wasn't in the city's best interest, mostly because All-American was also going to adhere to the project labor agreement, which again mirrors the local business requirements for the most part. Yeah, there are some differences. They're not exact, but still, as a project labor agreement, I would be hiring local people and doing almost everything that's required or supposed to be required by a local business enterprise. That's why I'm protesting the award of this. It's not the fact, I'm not saying that we're not certified currently. I'm not arguing that. I know we're not. And that's going to be remedied. And I'm not complaining, but this project has a PLA. If this project didn't have the PLA, then I would have nothing to say about this.
Vice President Garcia?
Thanks.
No questions? Okay. Okay. I will. I'm gonna spend a lot of time distinguishing between local business preference ordinances and project labor agreements. Project labor agreements are, well, I'm gonna not engage that, but they're very distinct things. Everyone has opportunity and is invited to come and engage with us on matters of import to them and to others. Discretion and avoiding tossing stones from glass houses is a very important thing to consider in our work. So I would just encourage that moving forward. But with that, thank you for joining us. I will motion to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Davis, I'll take Dr. Davis' second. Any objections? Commissioner Villegas or Vice President Garcia? All right, the item is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to item number 5, colleagues. Although I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to take a 5-minute recess, and we will return at 12:18. I know that makes y'all happy. We'll be right back, folks.
Yes.
The Board of Public Works is now in recess for 5 minutes. Just a reminder to all those that are still joining us on the panel, the council audio lines are still open and live to the general public. Thank you, and we will be back in 5 minutes. Great. Recording is on both systems, Mr. President. Would you like me to establish quorum for you?
Yes, please.
Great. It's 12:22 p.m., Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. Reestablishing quorum. President Good is present. Vice President Garcia is present. President Pro Tem Davis is present, and Commissioner Villegas is present. President Good, you do have a quorum. Sorry.
No problem. Thanks, Dr. Campos. Thanks,
and a crowd.
All right, let's move to item number 5. Item number 5 is personal services contract, Mariposa Landscapes, Inc., recommending the board, subject to mayoral approval, approve the 3-year professional services contract for the maintenance of the Venice Canals, Grand Canal, and portions of the Bayona Lagoon to Mariposa Landscapes, Inc. My apologies to Mariposa if they're here. And 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the personal services contract. Ms. Chow, are you here with us on this one?
Yes, sir. Hi, good afternoon, commissioners. So before you is a report to award a 3-year contract to Mariposa Landscapes for the maintenance of the Venice Canals, as you mentioned, and it also includes the Grand Canal and portions of the Bayona Lagoon. We're asking for an effective date of October 1st, 2021, and we'll have a contract ceiling of $975,000 or approximately $325,000 annually. The Venice Canals, the Grand Canal, as well as the Bayona Lagoon, is located in Council District 11, and it supports a very sensitive coastal wetland habitat, and is actually designated by the California Coastal Commission as an environmentally sensitive habitat area. The canals have traditionally been maintained by contract, and it was previously administered by the Bureau of Engineering. The Bureau of Street Services took over that administration of that contract in 2001. So the contract, under the contract, the canals collectively are have been maintained by Mariposa Landscapes since 1994 through contract. So it's been 27 years. Under the contract, the scope of work includes ensuring a healthy marine environment for the canals. That includes flushing of the canals during high tide and keeping water levels within certain levels to prevent flooding. It also involves removing debris and litter, controlling algae growth, as well as landscape maintenance. That would cover weed removal, plant replacement, pruning, as well as irrigation maintenance. It also involves operating of the tide gates to prevent flooding, as well as interacting with community stakeholders should issues arise. So we received a board approval back in 2020 to release a request for proposal for these services. And the RFP was released in August 4th, 2020. We held a pre-proposal conference on September 1st, 2020, whereby 4 companies attended. Unfortunately, only one proposal was received by the due date of September 21st, 2020, and namely the proposal was from Mariposa Landscapes. Mariposa is, we're proud to say that they are a local business entity, certified local business enterprise, as well as a minority business enterprise. They are, we received a business inclusion program waiver by the mayor's office due to little or no opportunities for subcontracting. However, Mariposa has confirmed that they do buy all the safety gear from a subcontractor who is a certified MBE, WBE, DBE, as well as a LBE. During the for the evaluation of the proposals, we actually formed a committee of 4 evaluators, and for a total point of 100 each. The raters gave them an average score of 97.8. So Mariposa rated pretty high on this contract, considering that they have been providing services for almost 30 years. What else? So again, I believe there were several comments from the general public that actually recommended award of this contract to Mariposa as well. Again, this is a very specialized work that the Bureau of Street Services does not have expertise in performing, and we highly recommend that the board recommend this contract for approval and awarding it to Mariposa Landscapes. This concludes my report, and I'm open for any questions if you have any.
Thanks, Ms. Chow. President Pro Tem Davis?
I don't have any inquiry on this particular item.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Chow, for the report.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Vice President Garcia?
Thank you, President Good. Ms. Chow, nice, good report. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to make the comment and reaffirm your comment that we had a lot of comments about Mariposa, and so it was just really nice to see that the community appreciates the work that Mariposa has been doing for the past a lot of years now, right? If I'm not mistaken.
27 years.
27 years. So thank you for that. I appreciate it, and it's nice to see when the community, is happy and everybody's happy and it's well taken care of, and we can make this happen. So thank you so much for your time, and also to Mariposa for their hard work.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Villegas?
you, and thank you, Mr. Chow, for your report. It was comprehensive. You know, I understand the amount of, time that they've had, with this particular contract, and I understand what, community does like, the quality of work that they've done for, this area as well, since it is sensitive. I'm just, I feel that they may have an edge up on the bidding process that others may not, because they've had such a long history of creating probably like a best management practice on doing all the maintenance and the care that goes in that. But I mean, it is more of a concern than a question. So just to have parity for the public so that they can all come in with the amount of knowledge that is kind of level-headed, I feel isn't the same for everyone, just because I feel like they have a leg up. That's just my concern.
I think, and then we share your concern, and, I think part of the problem is that because this is environmentally, doesn't need an environmental sensitive habitat, I think other contractors or small businesses may be scared by all the different requirements that are required to maintain the area. For example, even as simple as the landscape maintenance, they have to ensure that there are no invasive species that are there, and even tree replacements have to be replaced by types of species that are specific to or native to the area. So I think, this kind of scares other small businesses that may be, less inclined to take that kind of risk. And again, this service is pretty specialized. I mean, the area is quite large, and it involves, having staff to actually maintain water levels at, within acceptable levels, and it changes as the weather changes. So it's pretty extensive work, and although we share your concern, we really want to emphasize that the fact that the community in that area is very vocal, and the fact that the vendor has provided services satisfactory, and the public has joined in recommending that the contract be renewed for them, it speaks for itself.
Thank you. Yes, I agree, and I appreciate very much your answer. Or your comment back to me. I don't think it was a question, but it just kind of just a concern. But I do have to take comfort in knowing that the city did provide an RFP process, and if there are others that other businesses out there that provide this type of care and maintenance in other areas, then they would have come forward to be able to be just as competitive. So I do have to trust, the process, and I thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. No further comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Yeah, I would really just echo Commissioner Villegas' comments. I mean, very much appreciate the necessity or the value add of continuity in these services, particularly given the specificity and the technical elements of it. In the proximity of these canals, having lived over there for many years, the proximity of these canals to residents, to constituents, heightens the need to make sure that, and obviously the environmental sensitivity heightens the need to make sure that this is being done well, and being done by somebody who knows what they're doing. So no one else proposed though, huh, Ms. Chow?
No, we only received one proposal by the deadline. Like I said, there were 4 companies that attended the pre-proposal conference, but only one responded.
I'm surprised that folks didn't. Is Ms. Clements raising her hand there too?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, board. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in that we hear you and we agree with everything you're saying. Unfortunately, I cannot share my video at this time. We were very excited. We respect and value Mariposa, like everybody has said. They're a fantastic contractor. But we were hoping that we would get other bids because, yes, like you have said, we want new businesses, smaller businesses, minority-owned businesses, female-owned businesses to get some of these very coveted contracts. So we were excited when we had bidders. I guess in retrospect, maybe what we can do a better job of, or not a better job, but look at it differently, that when we are trying to get new bidders into our system, that maybe we have a follow-up meeting with all the bidders while the RFP is going on, just to answer any additional questions, or just to see if there's any way we can facilitate getting additional bidders. But again, we're very happy with Mariposa. They've been a fantastic contractor, and this is nothing against Mariposa, but we agree. We want new companies, bidding on these things. So maybe we can look at ways where, if we know it's multiple bidders, is there any way we can, help them out so that they can submit a full bid in the future?
That said, love that they are an MBE and LBE certified businesses, and that's exciting and great. And so appreciate and know that Streets LA does put a high premium on creating opportunity there. So all that's very well taken. And in the end, and I also don't want to undercut Mariposa, who's clearly a very high quality partner, and we appreciate them engaging and working with us. I don't know if they're here or not, but okay, I'm satisfied. I'll move to adopt the item. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any concerns or objections, Davis or Garcia?
None for me.
All right, hearing none, the item is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you very much, Ms. Chow. Thank you, Ms. Clements, for joining us. And
Thank you, commissioners.
you're welcome. And colleagues, let's go to, that brings us to item number 7. We already covered 6. Item number 7 is authority for expenditure, South Coast Air Quality Management District, Bureau of Sanitation, and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $60,000 to encumber funds to pay fees and licenses for the period of July 1, 2021 through July 30, 2022. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute this service agreement, AE 2276018M, Fund 760, Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund, Department number 50, Appropriation Unit 50, VX82. Michael Fan is with us. Good afternoon, Mr. Fan.
Good afternoon. Apologize for using my phone, but there is some gardening going on right now, so it is getting quite loud. But I'm here for South Coast Air Quality Management District authority for expenditure. So this is for regular and routine annual fees for air emissions for the Terminal Island plant. So we're requesting an amount of $60,000, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have about this authority for expenditure.
And Vice President Garcia, any questions?
No questions from me. Thank you very much.
President Pro Tem Davis?
None, no inquiries from me.
Thank you, sir. And then Commissioner Villegas.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Mr. Fan. No questions either for me.
Yeah, pretty cut and dry and necessary. So thank you, Mr. Fan. Take care of whatever you got to take care of. I'll take a motion to approve the item.
So move.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis, any concerns?
None.
Hearing no objections or concerns, this AFE is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank you very much, Mr. Fan.
Thank you all.
All right, and lastly, item number 8 is an administrative item. The mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on the behalf of the Bureau of Street Services to execute up to 82 sole source offer of work agreements for the Bureau of Street Services as needed haul truck program. I will take a motion to presumably a bet from committee. Well, I'll take a motion to move the item or to receive and file the item.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. I got a second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any concerns, Vice President Garcia? All right, hearing no concerns or objections, item number 8 is received and filed. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the decks?
Yes, you have.
Oh, wow.
All right. So thank you, Ms. Isagire. I think Ted joined as well. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Colleagues, thank you all so much. We'll look forward to seeing Commissioner Colosa back on Friday. And thank you, Dr. Campos.
Friday.
Everybody have a great rest of your week. This meeting is adjourned. See y'all.
Thank you.